Obviously, what the OPEC producers are doing in terms of production is very important, but fundamentally on oil prices, I always say, people ask, what's the oil price going to be? I say, well, tell me what GDP is going to be. So your question is right on target. And I think the expectation of a hard landing in the U.S. has receded. And it's now, if you say, what's the consensus about economists, it's still more of a soft landing because the strength that we're seeing in terms of consumer spending, despite everything, is the consumer is such a large part of the U.S. economy, consumption, and that has remained strong. Obviously, there's still all the uncertainties of how long they're going to keep interest rates up, what impact, what surprises will come. But the other big surprise is China, because I think if you go back to the spring, the expectation was China rebound's going to come, it's going to really, and we are seeing a rebound in the service sector in China. We're seeing a rebound in travel, and that's reflected in jet fuel. But the big weakness in China is manufacturing and its exports and weak global trade. And so, it still seems that, the Chinese rebound is just not what people anticipated. And you can see that the Chinese government is struggling with what do they do to stimulate their economy, where real estate is such an important part of it and where there's a lot of weakness and fragility.
هل تعتقد بأنه ارتفاع صادرات بعض أعضاء منظمة أوبك التي ليس لديها حصص موضوعة عليها مثل إيران مثل فنزويلا، ارتفاع صادراتها قد يعقد الأمور بالنسبة لأوبك بلس خلال الأشهر المقبلة برأيك؟
I think it can, certainly, particularly we see Iranian exports. It's a rather significant number going up. Venezuela's oil industry is still in very poor shape, so its exports are increasing, but not at the same level. But the bigger issue for the oil market, the biggest issue for OPEC Plus, is the rise in non-OPEC Plus oil, which is, if you look at it, what we're seeing is that increase is greater than the demand increase. And that's partly what these production cuts by Saudi Arabia are aimed at doing, as well as also responding to inventory levels. And I think that, that Prince Abdulaziz, who's the Saudi energy minister, is very experienced in the oil markets. He's seen through the cycles, and he's trying to take a longer view. I think it's clear that Saudi Arabia is really the dominant force in the oil market now, and is making clear decisions which are having direct impact on the oil market and on the oil price.